Hi, I'm Anmol, and today I'll be presenting a work titled A Geometric Measure of Polysemy in Hindi Language. This is joint work done with Dr. Ponurangam Kumaraguru at Precock Triple IT Delhi. I'll start off by describing what do we mean by polysemy. So polysemy can be broken down into many meanings, and it describes those words which have multiple meanings. In other words, polysemy is the ability of a word to possess more than one meanings. For example, hydrogen, molecule, atoms, all of these are monosemantic words. We know these words and we know their exact meanings. However, polysemantic words are those words which have multiple meanings in multiple contexts. For example, bright means can also mean shining as well as means intelligent. Polysemy has recently been widely used in various NLP and linguistics tasks. Very recently, it has been used to improve part of speech tagging tasks as well as word sense disambiguation tasks using by incorporating hierarchical and polysemantic information in deep learning models. Also, historically, polysemy is used to study how language changes throughout time periods or between domain shifts and context shifts. So it is really important in linguistics as well as natural language processing. Next, we move on to understanding curvature. Curvature is a geometric property which describes how flat an object is. For example, a 2D plane, if I take a 2D plane, it always has zero curvature. A 3D sphere always has positive curvature, and objects or shapes like a saddle always have negative curvature. More formally, curvature is a geometric property describing flatness of an object. Uh, Curvature is also of multiple types like global and local. So in global curvature, we get a single value or a curvature measure for the whole network or for the whole object. We certainly lose some edge or vertex specific information because it is global in its context. Local curvatures are operate on higher granularities, and we get edge and node specific information for each object or graph. So for local curvature, it describes locally how an object is behaving. Now let's move on to what is understanding what is Ricci curvature. It is a geometric curvature measure mostly used in differential geometry, which is the study of higher dimensional manifolds and Riemannian manifolds. In Riemannian geometry, this curvature measures how a smooth object deviates from being flat, or simply in the case of a straight line, or being straight in the case of a straight line. In the case of Riemannian geometry, when we are dealing with manifolds, it is measured as the average over all directions of a tangent vector transported to another tangent vector at some point other than the initial point. Now, this Ricci curvature was only defined for smooth manifolds previously, but very recently, uh, Olivier discrete Ricci curvature has been proposed, which generalizes this Ricci curvature measure to discrete problems and domains like graphs. How do we calculate this Ricci curvature is by assigning uniform distribution mu1 and mu2 on neighbors of two nodes which share a single edge. We use measures like optimal transport distance, which is popularly the most popular method is the Wasserstein distance, to learn a optimal transport map between these two probability measures. The given figure represents a simple graph and two nodes x and y, and for the neighbors of nodes x, x1, x2, and x3, uh, we initialize the distribution of these nodes as mu1, and for the neighbors of nodes y, which are y1, y2, y3, and y4, we initialize its probability distribution as mu2. And to measure its the Ricci curvature of this edge between x and y, we learn to minimize the total transport distance between these two probability measures. Now, this discrete Ricci curvature in the case of graphs has a very nice property. If an edge has a positive curvature, it usually represents that the edge is within a very dense cluster. However, if a edge has a negative curvature, that edge acts as a bridge between two distinct clusters. Now, those clusters can represent anything, but if an edge has negative curvature, then it uh, it symbolically represents a bridge between two distinct clusters. This figure taken from a recent study at ICLR 2020. It shows all the three cases of Ricci curvature. A simple plain grid has Ricci curvature 0. However, in the case of negative Ricci curvature, we see that this edge connects these two different clusters. And in the case of a click or a complete graph, the Ricci curvature always comes out to be positive for all edges. In our specific use case, we decided to construct a graph of synonyms by accessing the Hindi word net. We represent the unique words as nodes in this graph, and we connect these two nodes, any two nodes or words, with an edge if they occur in the same synset of the word net. Synset basically means if the word net describes any two words as being synonyms of each other. So the statistics of a graph are as follows. We have around 9,000 nodes, around 34,000 edges, and the average node degree is 7.4. Now the algorithm of a study is we first construct the graph of synonyms from the Hindi by accessing the Hindi wordnet as described in the previous slide. After obtaining this graph, we go on and calculate the Ricci curvature of each edge of this graph, and then we average the Ricci curvature to generalize it on a node. So for a node, all the incident edges on that specific node, we average the Ricci curvature to get a measure for that specific node. Now we hypothesize that the negative edge on a node, the negative Ricci curvature of a node means that it acts as a bridge between distinct clusters. And in our case, these distinct clusters would be different meanings of a word. So going by this hypothesis, we can say that higher the negative measure that a node gets, we can say that its polysemy is also definitely higher. And we empirically prove this and observe this by measuring the Spearman correlation between the degree of a word, in our case, which is a node in the graph of synonyms, and its measured polysemy, which has been obtained by averaging over all the incident edges on a specific node. Now, a very popular law, which is the Zipf's law, says that words with higher frequency tend to be more polysemous. And in our experiment, we found that the correlation, the Spearman correlation between the average Ricci curvature of a word on the graph of synonyms and the degree of a word is very highly correlated, around 84%, which goes in line with the linguistic laws of Zipf. And this sort of proves our hypothesis that uh, words or nodes that get attributed with higher negative measure means that they are higher, they have higher polysemy measure. Uh, in conclusion, we propose a novel geometric measure of polysemy, and we measure the degree of polysemy and empirically give a value of polysemy for each word instead of just detecting the presence of polysemous words in a dataset or text corpus like in previous studies. With regards to future work, we plan to extend this approach to synsets and synonyms of other languages as well as low resource settings, and conduct more in-depth experiments by incorporating n-gram analysis and generalizing the graph approach to higher order of synonym techniques. Uh, Thank you.